As they were nearing the centre of town and the Christmas lights, a part of him considered backing off and taking the long way home, but he braved it out and carried on, following the path he ordinarily would have taken. A change, it seemed, was coming over the girl, and soon she had to stop and vomited on the street. "Good girl," Furlong encouraged her. "Get it all up. Get that much out of you." In the square, she paused to rest at the lighted manger and stood in a type of trance, looking in. Furlong looked in too, at Joseph's bright robes, the kneeling Virgin, the sheep. Someone, since last he'd seen it, had placed the figures of the wise men and the baby Jesus there, but it was the donkey that held the girl's attention, and she reached out to stroke and push the snow off his ear. "Isn't he lovely?" she said. "We've not far to go now," Furlong assured. "We're almost home." As they carried on along and met more people Furlong did and did not know, he found himself asking, was there any point in being alive without helping one another? Was it possible to carry on along through all the years, the decades, through an entire life, without once being brave enough to go against what was there, and yet call yourself a Christian, and face yourself in the mirror? How light and tall he almost felt, walking along with this girl at his side, and some fresh, new, unrecognizable joy in his heart. Was it possible that the best bit of him was shining forth and surfacing? Some part of him, whatever it could be called, was there any name for it, was going wild, he knew. The fact was that he would pay for it. But never once in his whole and unremarkable life had he known a happiness akin to this. Not even when his infant girls were first placed in his arms and he had heard their healthy, obstinate cries. He thought of Mrs. Wilson, of her daily kindnesses, of how she had corrected and encouraged him, of the small things she had said and done and had refused to do and say, and what she must have known, the things which, when added up, amounted to a life. Had it not been for her, his mother might very well have wound up in that place. In an earlier time, it could have been his own mother he was saving, if saving was what this could be called. And only God knew what would have happened to him, where he might have ended up. The worst was yet to come, he knew. Already he could feel a world of trouble waiting for him behind the next door. But the worst that could have happened was also already behind him, the thing not done, which could have been, which he would have had to live with for the rest of his life. Whatever suffering he was now to meet was a long way from what the girl at his side had already endured and might yet surpass. Climbing the street towards his own front door with a barefooted girl and the box of shoes, his fear more than outweighed every other feeling. But in his foolish heart he not only hoped, but legitimately believed that they would manage.